Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today we are here with the long-awaited Necromancer Healer Build video. This is a build that a lot of people have asked me about on stream and in general, and whenever I would actually make this build, and I was like, I really don't know yet, but I'm finally at it. And so this is the Necromancer Healer Build that I use for the most part on the live server. So in this build, we'll go through the stats, the Mundus, the race. We'll go through all the passives, the skills. We'll go through the armor that I use. We'll go through some alternate setups if you do not have the armor, if you're like a beginner and you're trying to get the armor that I'm talking about. And we'll go through like a semi-rotation and kind of what to do as a healer. And lastly, we'll go through the fashion and the champion points as well. But I hope that you guys do love the Necromancer Healer, because the Necromancer is my favorite class in the whole game. Before we get started, I do want to mention thank you so much to all the patrons. If you'd like to become a patron, check out the link below in the description. You can get access to early videos. You can get your name up here on the screen, and many other perks. Go check it out in the description below. You can also find my builds and other guides on the website at brahwegotthis.com. You can watch me play live at twitch.tv/brahwegotthis as well. And you can join our Discord, which has a lot of helpful information. So again, like all of my build videos, there are going to be timestamps, but I do recommend that you do follow each section, because you will miss some important information when going through these builds, and you need to understand the alternate setups and some of the other things with the build, so you understand like when to use what, and so you're not just like using something that is totally not useful in a certain situation. So I do recommend that you do follow each part. And something I do want to mention as well is these builds are a culmination of a couple of things. I started looking at Necromancer Healer builds when Elsewhere came out. So I looked at Dots, I looked at Outcast, I looked at Asian God, all these content creators. I looked at some of their builds, and I kind of made like a big like polymerization, if you want to say, like from Yu-Gi-Oh, of this. And then I've kind of morphed this into something that I like in certain situations. And so this is kind of a culmination of all the stuff that I've learned from them and just from myself playing this character. So this is the result of that. But I absolutely love Necromancer, and healing on my Necromancer is my favorite thing to do. I love to heal, and it's my favorite healing class. So we're going to start off with the race that we're using. So for the sake of, some good statistics and all that other stuff, I'm using a High Elf right here. On the live server, I use a Breton. Breton and High Elf are both really good in my opinion for this, and Argonian as well, but I'm using a High Elf for this build specifically here on the PTS. The max magicka is 36.5k, 64 points into magicka to get that. We've got a spell critical of 41%, and you can see all the other stats there as well. The Moonstone you're using is the Thief, but you can use the Ritual as well. That will increase healing, but the reason we're using the Thief is it's upping our spell critical so we can proc one of the sets that we're using. And the food that we're using is Longfin Pasty with melon sauce. So here again is the stats. Again, you can use High Elf, you can use Breton, you can use Argonian. It's really up to you on that. Now, when we go into the skills, all right, this is where there's going to be a lot of alternatives that you can go with depending on if you want to get a little bit more advanced as a Necromancer healer. But these are kind of what I've settled on for my Necromancer on the live server. So on the front bar, we're using, or the back bar, we're using a Destruction Staff. We're using Blockade of Storms. This is a fantastic damage over time, and this is just going to be great with the Necromancer. It's just going to be fantastic because, so if you look at the Destruction Staff passive, if you look at Ancient Knowledge here, equipping a Lightning Staff increases your damage done with area of effect abilities by 10%. The Necromancer already has an insane AoE passive. Let's see if I can find it. Right here, Rapid Rot. Increase your damage done by damage over time effects. So you already have that plus the Lightning Staff passive here. And so I really like using the Lightning Staff on the back bar. It's just fantastic because this is area of effect, and then the other one is damage over time. And we've got an area of effect skill here, which is a damage over time as well. And this is an area of effect and a damage over time. So it's just really, really nice to use the Lightning Staff for the Necromancer. Elemental Drain is just a nice skill for healers. This is going to apply minor magicka steal, major breach, and it's just a fantastic skill. This is in the Destruction Staff line as well. This is one of my favorite skills that I've used on the Necromancer, and I just started using it and I was like, this is amazing. This is Necrotic Potency. Necrotic Potency is from the Bone Tyrant line. What this does is this is going to heal you, but the thing that's amazing about this is the amount of corpses that you consume with this, the more ultimate you're going to get back. So if there's a big ad pool in a dungeon or a raid or something like that, and you use this, you can just keep using this to refill your ultimate bar. It's so good for Necromancer Healer. I love it. Plus, while slotted, your damage taken is reduced by 3%. It's just one of my favorite Necromancer skills. It is an MVP skill. Next skill is Intensive Mender. This is right here. This is going to heal you or the lowest health ally around you every 2 seconds, restoring 9,254 health. It's also going to create a corpse, which we want corpses, so that's a good thing. Unnerving Boneyard is an amazing damage over time and AoE. This is going to apply Major Breach as well, even though we already have it from Elemental Drain. But this is going to do so much damage, especially if you consume a corpse on cast. It's going to deal 50% more damage. This is just a great damage over time that you lay down at the beginning of a fight. With the Necromancer Healer, the reason I love it so much is because you can actually do a decent amount of damage for your team. You have so much utility as a Necromancer Healer. I like using Glacial Colossus as an ultimate. The reason being is it applies Major Vulnerability, so that increases the damage taken on enemies, and it does a ton of damage. Again, you're going to get your ultimate back so much with this build that it's such a fun ultimate. But I will get into the things that you can change out here in a second once I go through this bar. Now, our front staff is a healing staff. Obviously, we're using Radiating Regeneration, one of my favorite healer skills in the game. The reason I use Radiating Regeneration is this is a pug lifesaver. Whenever you're doing dungeons or trials, a lot of DPS do not want to stack up. They just don't. So this will hit people from really far away, and you don't even have to look at them, and you're going to do a nice heal over time. Next one is Healing Springs. Just a great AoE heal, and it's going to you're going to restore 30 magicka every time you or an ally is healed. Next one is Energy Orb. This is from the Undaunted line. This is just going to give resources back and do a nice heal over time for your teammates. You always want to have these out because a teammate can get this, I think, every 20 seconds. So like essentially that teammate can only get it once every 20 seconds, but you can put this out like 3 times until you can put one out, a teammate gets it, another one out, another teammate gets it, another one out, another teammate gets it. So really good for healer. Combat Prayer is one of the best healer skills for you. This is going to apply or grant Minor Berserk and Minor Resolve. It's just going to help your teammates out so much, and it is a crazy burst heal. Last skill is Enduring Undeath. Now these things can be switched out, like I'll tell you in a second, but this is actually a massive heal over time for Necromancer. If you look here, it's in this line, Living Death. It consumes a corpse on cast to continue to heal you and your allies in the area for 9,285 health over 5 seconds. You can consume up to 5 additional corpses on cast, which each corpse extending the duration of the heal over time by 5 seconds. So this can last essentially for, I think it's like 25 seconds, which is insane, maybe 30 seconds. It is a crazy heal over time. I love this heal as a Necromancer. The ultimate is Renewing Animation. This is your reanimate skill. This allows you to revive 3 allies at a target location, and you restore 5,300 magic and stamina for each ally you attempt to resurrect. This is a fantastic ultimate, one of the best ultimates in the game for trials and dungeons, because a lot of times you really need this. This comes in so clutch as a Necromancer. Okay, I love this. Now, let's talk about some alternative setups. If you want to go a little bit more advanced as a Necromancer, you could take out Radiating Regeneration and Enduring Undeath and put on Render Flesh and Expunge. And the reason you put these on, or actually you would want to use Resistant Flesh, and I like Expunge and Modify. The reason being is there's some CP points that you can really go big brain on with this, which is really nice. But what Render Flesh does is this is going to heal you or an ally for 12,818 health, which is a crazy burst heal, okay? Crazy burst heal. But what it's going to do, it's going to apply a minor debuff on you, Minor Defile, for you for 4 seconds, reducing your healing received and health recovery by 8%. So actually with Resistant Flesh, you're also going to you're going to grant resistances to the target as well, which is insane. So once you use that, you would then use Expunge and Modify. What this does is it removes up to 2 negative effects from yourself and restoring 500 magicka and stamina for each negative effect removed. While slotted, the cost of all your abilities are reduced by 3%. Now, negative effects can also be other things as well, but this is like a way that you can cleanse yourself. So if you look into the CP points, you can go here into this area. Salve of Renewal. Whenever you remove a harmful effect from yourself or an ally, you sanctify the ground beneath them and heal them and allies within 8 meters for 1624 health per stage. You can heal for 6,400 health every time you remove a negative effect. So even if you don't use the expunge and modify, or the resistant flesh or whatever, and you just use expunge and modify, anytime you need a cleanse, this skill can pop that CP and it's really solid. But I would say if you're a beginner healer, stay away from this because this is a little bit more advanced. You're going to end up maybe not understanding how to use this, but these two skills are very powerful and very good. So I would consider running them if you want to go that route, but that's just something you can keep in mind. Now for raids and everything as well, typically when I'm running dungeons or like normal trials, I normally just run this setup with Glacial Colossus and renewing animation because I want to just give my team more DPS and I want to do more DPS. But you can switch Colossus out with the Warhorn because it's just so good. So you'd use Aggressive Horn. It's just so fantastic. That's what I would switch out with Colossus. I'd always keep renewing animation. It's so good. Now for the passives. I'd honestly get every passive in every single Necromancer skill line here. I love it. Destruction Staff, same thing. Restoration Staff, same thing. For your armor, you can get all the light armor passives. For your guilds, you can get the Undaunted passives and your racial passives, obviously, as well right here. So let's go into the armor now. Armor. Now there are some other setups, like I said, that you can use for this, but so one of these pieces of armor is something I'm going to be switching on my live server just because I found that one set of armor is just not as good as it seems because it just never works. But the armor we're using is Spell Power Cure. Spell Power Cure is from White Gold Tower, which is actually a free dungeon that you can get this from. Using the body pieces, all divines. You can use infused on the chest and the legs if you would like to. Spell Power Cure, what it does, it's going to give a bunch of magicka weapon spell damage. When you heal yourself or an ally, you give the target Major Courage for 5 seconds, which increases their weapon spell damage by 430. You're going to overheal a lot. This is something I used to, in place of this, I would run Olorime. I have that on the live server. The reason I'm not running it now, and I don't want to run it now, is because Olorime is just so hard to get people to stand in the circle. It's just something that's really difficult. And so for pugs and for people that you might be playing with that are random players, this is going to be so much easier to utilize. Your next set is Hollow Fang. This is what I use on the live server right now. What Hollow Fang does is it adds critical chance, max magicka, and it adds whenever you critically heal or critically damage a target, spawn a ball of hemoglobin at their location after 2 seconds. The ball explodes, restoring 1750 magicka and applying minor vitality to you and your group members within 6 meters of the ball for 9 seconds, increasing their healing received by 8%. So this is something really nice for magicka tunes that you're with. There's going to be a lot of magicka characters, but if they're stamina, you're still going to be able to get that minor vitality on them, which is going to help you heal them for more. So I like this set a lot. I've got the jewelry and I've got the lightning staff here. Now, our resto staff is the master resto staff. And the reason we have the Hollow Fang on the back bar is because you're going to most likely crit off your unstable wall of elements or your boneyard. It's just going to be you're going to almost always crit. So you're going to proc this and you're going to switch over to your other bar and then you're going to be on your healing bar, so you're not going to have to worry about it. Now, Master Resto Staff, the reason we're running this is we have Grand Healing on the bar. Grand Healing is this right here, okay? So what that does is the initial heal of Grand Healing invigorates your group members effective for 4 seconds, restoring 117 magic and stamina every 1 second. So that's going to help you with your, helping your sustain with your other allies with stamina and magicka characters. Master Resto is in the Dragonstar Arena. Hollow Fang is in Moongrave Fane. Okay, so that dungeon right there. Now, your monster set is Symphony of Blades. Symphony of Blades is a ridiculous monster set. It's going to add 4% healing done And when you heal an ally who's under 50% of their primary resource, you grant them Meridius Favor, which restores 570 magic or stamina every 1 second for 6 seconds. This effect can occur once every 18 seconds per target. This is a fantastic monster set for endgame. It is so good. It is from Vet Depths of Malatar. It is one of the hardest dungeons in the game, in my opinion. So if you do not have this, don't fret, okay? Your alternative for this, and I'm using an infused light helm and a Divine's Light shoulder. If you do not have this, just get Sentinel of Rakugamez. This is from Darkshade 1. It is a base game dungeon, and it is so good. Okay, this adds 4% healing done, and whenever you heal yourself or an ally, you summon a Dwemer Spider that heals for 1382 health, restores 125 magic and stamina to you and your allies within 5 meters every 1 second. For 8 seconds. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. This is a fantastic monster set, and you'll be perfectly fine with this. You could also run Earthgore if you need a massive burst heal. This is from Bloodroot Forge on Veteran. This is from Veteran Darkshade 1. Now that we went through the armor sets, let's kind of go into the CP. Again, if you wanted to run that different CP star here, you could if you want to go for that more advanced setup. Salve Renewal, but right now what we're doing, we're going 50 into Fighting Finesse and slotting it because we want that critical damage and critical healing for our Hollow Thing and just for healing. Soothing Tide, Focus Mending, Swift Renewal, all those are slotted, and you can look at the other points here as well. For red, we're going into Fortified, Rejuvenation, Survival Instincts, and then we are slotting Sustained by Suffering as well. And again, with the champion points, y'all, the rest of the points are kind of up to you. I just use them for the ones that you need slotted, so you can kind of choose where you want with that. Same with the green points. Now, let's go kind of into a rotation. This is something that healers, you don't really have a rotation. I do want to mention, though, that when I am running dungeons sometimes, so when I'm on this bar, I'll take like Elemental Drain off sometimes, and I'll put Force Pulse on it to do more damage for my team and to help my team do more damage. It's just something I do sometimes just for fun. And it helps out a lot. So you can do that if you want to, but that's just something to keep in mind. But with rotations with healers, again, it's not really a rotation. It's more just managing everything that you have and your teammates. So, but every fight, what you want to try to do, especially for bosses, is you want to open up with Weakness to Elements, because that's going to do Minor Magic of Steel and Major Breach. After that, you can pop your Mender, or you can do that before, Lightning Staff, and Graveyard. You see that Hollow Thing already popped. So we're going to switch bars, and now it is just buff your teammates with Combat Prayer. Make sure you throw out an orb. You can lay down a heal over time, and then it's just managing their heals. So you can do Radiant Regeneration if you need to burst heal them. You can do Combat Prayer. But once your wall's back up, you just use your wall, your Weakness again, Mender, and Graveyard. And see, our Hollow Thing just popped again. And yeah, you're staying on this bar, and then again, you just react. That's kind of what a healer rotation looks like. I mean, it's something that's very reactive. It's not something I can show on a target dummy really, but you just have to keep all of that in mind. And something else I want to mention again is that, with your item sets, you all, if you do not have some of these, there's alternatives there. You could use Julianus, you could use Magnus's Gift, you could use Jorvold's Guidance, you could use, what is the other one I'm thinking of? You could use Olorime if you have it. It's just harder for it to be used, in my opinion. With monster sets, I mean, it's the same thing. You could use many different monster sets for healers, but Sentinel of Rakugamez is just a great place to start. And sometimes you need different monster sets for different encounters. So you just have to keep that in mind with the healer. It's a little different than DPS. There's different sets that you can use, and you don't have to necessarily worry about, am I using the wrong one? There's always a couple that you could use. So if you have any questions about this in the comments, let me know down below, and I can try to answer it for you. I can try to give you some alternatives if you don't have it, but I like to try to give people at least some gear that they can work towards, and gear in between. But for the fashion, let's go over that real quick. This one was pretty cool. I just kind of made this one up on the spot here. I'm using the Crimson Oath motifs. I'm using Frozen Blood dye from the Hairstorm Delver achievement, using Void Pitch dye for just a little bit of it, and I'm using the Sanctified Silver Skin. That's from doing a trial. So yeah, you'll see that here, and I really like it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions on this, if you liked it, make sure to like, subscribe, heavy attack that bell icon to stay up to date on all the content in the channel. I really do appreciate all y'all's support. It really means a lot. And you can always find me on twitch.tv/brahwegotthis. You can check out our website at brahwegotthis.com and our Discord. And again, if you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll try to help you out as best as I can. But I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. Until next time, y'all, just remember to have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.